Good afternoon and welcome to Pittsburgh Land Bank Board of Directors meeting for Friday, September 13th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Reverend Burgess.
Here.
Dr. Bay. Paul Legger.
Here.
Diamante Walker.
Here.
Senator Fontana.
Here.
Councilwoman Carol Smith.
Here.
Councilman Lavelle. Steve Mazza.
Here.
Wanda Wilson. You have 6 members. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Our first order of business is public comment. Members of the public who want to come before the land bank, you'll be given 3 minutes. Please start off with your name, either address or the community you reside in. First speaker, please. First speaker, please. Seeing no speakers, we'll go into our agenda. The first thing we have is you have the July minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve July minutes.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. My report is simply, it's good to be here, right?
That's right.
It's good to be here. It's good to be on this side of creation. And so, and I am very proud of the land bank. We will be, although not on the agenda, next month some of us will be traveling to Atlanta for the Property Reserve Conference, and looking forward to that. And I think that's it. Oh, the other thing is, I want to announce that immediately after the land bank meeting, we will move into executive session about personnel issues. So immediately after this land bank meeting, the board will go into executive session for a personnel matter. That takes us to director's report. Ms. Davidson?
Yes, thank you, Reverend Burgess. Following up on the chair's report, an update to the board that the Land Bank does have a delegation going next month prior to next month's board meeting to the Reclaiming Vacant Properties Conference in Atlanta, Georgia this year. And the delegation includes about half board members, Ms. Clark, Lindsay Powell from the mayor's office, and then myself and/or a staff position as well. So there's a nice delegation of eight going and representing Pittsburgh and the land bank itself. And in past years, we have worked to arrange sort of a peer-to-peer learning exchange, which I think has been one of the most valuable aspects of the conference, which in year 1, it was Toledo, Ohio, Lucas County. In year 2, it was several of the land banks from upstate New York, Buffalo, Erie, Niagara, several of those cities. And we are looking once again to set up that peer-to-peer sort of cohort exchange. We don't have it yet. We're working with the Center for Community Progress to help identify. They make a recommendation to us, sort of knowing who's out there in the world of land banking and what issues they're grappling with. So they've made recommendations in the past to say, like, who else has similar struggles or has a best practice, and that's how we've identified those cities. So we're working through that as well to try and arrange that for this trip. And of course, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if there's something you'd like to arrange special as part of while you're part of the conference, please let us know and we'll set that up. It is also the 10th anniversary of the founding of the organization, the Center for Community Progress, that puts on the conference. So there is a special sort of celebration, and I think we're just very fortunate to have that national organization, here helping us do this work. The second item on my update is a request for authorization from this board to release a request for proposals, an RFP, for strategic planning services. This was in the 2019 plan to do at the end of 2019. We have a 1-year implementation plan, which we produced in-house. But now that we're working our way through that, the goal was to then produce a 3-year plan, which helps with fundraising and budgeting and all of those activities, and that we would look for an external consultant to help us with those services for the larger 3-year plan. So the goal would be to work with whomever on the board would like to assist in that process to release that RFP. Then a committee made up of board members would review whomever submits, and then before any contract would be awarded, that would come back in front of the board, a recommendation to go under contract for that service. So the request is authorization to release the RFP, which is really step 1 in the process.
Need a motion to authorize Bethany to release the strategic planning RFP.
So moved.
Need a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us into the financial report. Mr. Lager.
Bethany, would you go through the totals?
You have in front of you in your packet the same financial reports that you see monthly. And since this board did not meet in August, you have essentially the addition of 2 months of activities. Of course, the reports are produced year to date, but you'll see sort of monthly administrator approved expenditures is a little bit of a larger list because we had 2 months worth of expenditures since our last meeting in July. So you can see on the budget versus actual year to date expenditures are just over $150,000, and you have that list, the larger list itemized of what each expenditure is to whom, what it was for, and then you have your accounts payable and accounts receivable, noting that there's still a little over $100,000 to be billed and then received from the city in the city contract, the 2018-2019 city contract, and then you do have payables in the amount of a little over $37,347.72 since invoices that have just come in the last few weeks, and then of course you have your projected expenses for the month of September, a little over $25,000.
All right, so I think we can do it in one motion to receive the financial review and approve July and August expenditures. I need a motion. Need a second? Second. Any more conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That brings us to number 8, which is the Property Reserve Committee. Ms. Wilson, I think, is the lead. She is not with us today, Hob, so if you would.
Yep. So, yeah, we can go back to inventory report. Excuse me. So Wanda may be joining us. That's okay.
I'm skipping. I'll go back. No, I'll go back. I'm out of order. I'm sorry.
I haven't had my coffee yet.
It was, and it's hard for me to read. You know, I'm getting those
Make
little
it larger
words.
font.
Those little words, right? I need bigger print as I get older now. I'm needing bigger print. That takes us to the inventory report with Attorney Clark. You are having that report.
Yes, thank you. So the first report is on title work that is ongoing on our first acquisition that is in your inventory. And having recorded the deed, I am working diligently to get a quiet title action filed. Typical process. We own the property and we got to clear it, which is exactly what the PLB's primary mission is. And so I've been working very closely with the producer of our title commitment to assure that quiet title action will ultimately assure insurable title.
Question.
Yes.
Ask it.
I'm trying to frame it right.
Sorry.
So, if you had the right people, if you had maybe 8 to 10 full-time people who were just doing title work, that's all they did, right? If you had like a group of people, let's say 8 to 10, and you had the right people, you know, a mixture of all the right people to do it, how much land could they clear at a time, do you think?
I love that question. No, that is a great question, and I'm not sure that I can answer it. But it would, I mean, with that kind of a team, we could really impact the titles on these properties at scale. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds moving through quarterly, I do believe. And that's based on my personal experience having essentially been a one-person operation.
That's why I should know that. Yeah.
Clearing title on what ended up being, you know, we had set our sights wildly but we did end up clearing 60 titles in a very short period of time.
Who is we?
Well, that was a project quite some time ago with a tax claim bureau outside of the city of Pittsburgh.
Folks out there that do this. They're
Oh,
title searchers.
absolutely.
You can assemble a team, to your point,
Absolutely.
you know, and sort of outsource it, right, to these.
You could outsource it
And they're in
too.
there every day searching titles.
I would recommend having an in-house as a special project to just really focus on it. Because unfortunately, in the title industry, these are the hardest properties, takes most labor, and by state commission insurance rates, pay the least. So it really has to be, I believe, an in-house special project to get the attention to really get these titles
Have
cleared.
experience too, because you don't want to miss anything.
Well, you have to still work with the industry to get a title policy. So you're working very closely with them, but to keep the attention, to keep it focused, continue to get the expertise that you need, I say that it's got to be driven in-house.
Yeah, I've
But
been
I
thinking.
like how you're thinking.
I have actually been, I'm articulating a thought I've been having for about a year now, that I have some idea about how to move forward with it. But I've been thinking of, let's take an area, let's just take Sheridan. This area.
Wait. Be careful how you word, let's take
No,
Sheridan.
but let's use Sheridan as an example.
Do it, let's go.
Can we put that in the minutes?
If we were able, in a 3-year period, to clean all of the city's title to all of the property in Sheridan, you would see an avalanche of economic opportunity and activity in Sheridan.
Yes,
One
but
of
we
the
want to make sure it's not like it was in East Liberty, so.
And you would
just make sure we
control
say-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not, yeah, it is,
As long as we control it, and
yeah.
the community controls it.
I guess what I'm saying is the land, reclaiming the land is distinct and separate from the final use of the land, right?
Absolutely.
So that you could clean the land and turn it
Yeah.
into anything.
Well, I love the idea of cleaning the land, because the residents are sick of looking at it as one. You have one here, sick of
and-
looking at,
Cut so much grass.
yeah, the way, it is.
And
We actually have 2 different volunteer groups that are cutting grass on private property.
so I have been thinking about this. I have actually had conversations about this, and so perhaps we'll talk more about this even as an executive session about this, because I have some ideas. All right, next, the URA Land Care Program.
And I just want to mention, you're all invited on the 21st for the Garbage Olympics.
Yeah.
That
I
we're
heard about that.
involved in over in Sheridan. You guys can put your boots on, come on over and do a little work.
Yeah, and I just want to say, when we're talking about executive session, and, as long as there's no decisions being made.
No.
Okay, I mean,
It's about, we're just,
I mean,
as
I
we are,
make sure these meetings were televised for a reason.
yeah, as we're talking, URA Land Care Program.
Thank you. This is an update. This board several months ago authorized an agreement to participate in the URA's property maintenance program known as Land Care, so that if and when, in the meantime, the land bank's inventory grows piece by piece, there is already a set of providers that are local businesses in those neighborhoods ready to be deployed to maintain those properties to code standards, so that we are meeting our obligation of maintaining our portfolio of property. The one property that we do have is in Larmer, is in that portfolio. The land care program is about to go out for RFP. It's a 12-month contract with the maintenance service providers. And this is a notification to the board that the URA announced both last month and updated this month that RFP is will be ready to go out at the end of September, beginning of October. That will include both housing authority properties and the land bank inventory, as well as the URA's inventory. So we're continuing to participate in it under this agreement, but this is also just a notification, particularly if you have anyone that you know to please be on the lookout and spread the word so that as there are more properties involved, that provides for more bundles, essentially more contracts, more opportunities for local service providers to participate in the program. So please be on the lookout for that in the month of October and share the word. And please know that the land bank's properties are continuing to be involved in that program and that contract.
Thank you very much. On cue. That then brings us to the Property Reserve Committee report. Director Wilson, you're right on time for your report.
Hi, everybody. The Property Reserve Committee is making progress. I'm happy to report. And thanks to Bethany for corralling everybody and getting everybody together. We've had a couple committee meetings recently over the past month or so where we've really, I think, got a pretty clear path for what a new process could be for groups to utilize the property reserve process at the land bank itself. And we're having one more meeting in 2 weeks to really kind of finalize the recommendations of the committee and then prepare for a community meeting that we would host and have for it would be a public meeting, but mainly for those groups who are using the property reserve to give us feedback on, have we addressed concerns around the current process and a way to improve that, and then any questions that they have and suggestions and recommendations. With the goal of having incorporate that feedback all this fall so that it's ready to roll as of January 1.
Any conversation?
I just want to thank you and Bethany for your work on this and the committee.
And I want also to just sort of close the loop from the discussion we had at the June and July board meetings that I believe both Director Mazza and Councilman Cale Smith did make a recommendation from someone from essentially the West End neighborhoods, Gino Palmasino, who did join the committee. And so we have expanded it to make sure that we're not just covering the issues and the expertise, but also the geographies of the entire city. So.
All right, that brings us to the Communications Committee. Dr. Bay is not with us today, and so we will not have a report from that committee that I know of.
So we're not going to communicate.
We don't have an update. I mean, I'm on the committee, but we don't have an update from the
All right,
Communications
thank you very
Committee.
much. That takes us to the legislative and regulatory updates, both Ms. Davison and Senator Fontana.
And this will, for me, this will be a fast one simply because as both the state and local, I'm not sure what Senator Fontana may add, both the state and local city, council had the month of August off, so there wasn't a lot of activity on the legislation and regulatory side. There may be certainly more activity come next month and more of an update, but there's nothing that I am aware of that has really moved significantly since our last meeting.
And I concur, the House gets back on Monday, the Senate doesn't get back till the 23rd to start taking up what we didn't accomplish, which wasn't much in the previous months. So if there's anything that on the housing front that you want to focus on, please let me know. We'll try to push those things as we encourage them to run it through committee or get it on the agenda or whatever. But there's some other items that I'm getting some emails that they're focusing on that doesn't have anything to do with housing. So if we have to rattle the cage and there's something specific, let me know. But it won't gear up. We're only scheduled 1 week in September and I think 2 weeks in October. So it's not a big schedule going forward to the end of the year. But we'll do our best to bring their attention to housing matters if you
And
so.
I want to thank you, Senator Fontana, because you really have been a real strong voice for us
Thank
in Harrisburg. And I think a lot goes just your relationships with folks and your ability to build a consensus and get people to work with you, and your seniority. And seniority speaks volumes. Sometimes people don't realize the importance of seniority in these positions. But I think that you bring all that to the table, and you're bringing a lot back to the city of Pittsburgh. So thank you.
Thank you.
We are unique in that we have a sitting senator on our board, which brings not just gravitas and insight, but just a real connection to state government, and we're really, really proud of that fact. There's no new business that I know in front of us. We will, after adjournment, again, we will be going into executive session on personnel matters. I don't see anything else that needs to be brought before the board. If there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We are adjourned.